welcome back to the program. If you're just tuning in, this is Real Estate Chalk Talk, broadcasting from the Rack Shack Barbecue Studio. I'm Keith Hittner Sr. here in the studio with Keith Hittner Jr., and you can reach us at 612-627-8000 or go to realestatechalktalk.com. That's realestatechalktalk.com. Kelvin Kaemingk, the money man. You got another question you wanted to ask?
Well, wait a minute.
What?
We just had 2 segments of talking about kids dying.
All right.
Okay?
Maybe kind of...
Let's reflect on that
Right.
a little bit.
Let's
That's tough
reflect.
stuff, right?
It is tough stuff.
We had a conversation before the show, like, God, what are we going to talk about? Kids dying? But what did you think?
I see a great need for what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's just, quite honestly, it's disturbing.
Sure.
That there's nothing out there for these families. I mean, because I can't think of, well, one, you think about, one of the things that most families don't survive is the loss of a child.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right, wrong, or indifferent.
Right.
I mean, that's a hard thing.
The married couple.
The married couple. So you kind of look at a service that they're trying to provide and provide that is, boy, it's so necessary. And you find yourself oblivious on some of those things that
Sure.
you don't realize. You know it's there, but it's not in our.
We're
it's
so
not in your
fortunate
preview,
to have
right?
healthy kids,
Yeah.
and everybody is, still with us.
Mhm.
We're not dealing with a lot of this stuff, but a lot of the population is dealing with very serious problems like this.
Yeah.
So for them to be creating something to service a need of these families, these kids, awesome stuff.
And over the many years, we've dealt with it, more than I'd like to remember, of families who were selling the house because a child has died and the marriage is not surviving, and so they're divorcing and liquidating their assets and moving on. And you when you're involved in that, we've got a job to do. We're doing the job, and you never really stop
Sure.
to think about
Mm-hmm.
what's been going on for. And the child could very well have, in a couple of cases, died years before.
Mm-hmm.
And then the couple have been struggling, for years to try to reconcile and get back together, and they just can't get past it. Just can't get past it. So.
What'd you think? Because we talked about before the show. What was your thought?
A little bit different than I expected. I think she's doing a lot more. I didn't know to the extent of where they're at in their cause and their program. So a lot stronger than I expected. It was great. I have 3 small children, so for me to think about having my daughter's last request to be able to be in a hospice situation and not have that outlet here would be a very hard thing to go through. So.
Especially what they're saying, they're fundraising for 2 years of operating money, because by the time a family gets to that point, their resources have been exhausted.
Yeah.
I mean, they have nothing left. So then to go in for the last, it could be 2 days, it could be 2 months, it could be 6 months, and to have to come up with more money yet just to be able to have your kid be in a comfortable situation is hard to.
So that was Katie from Crescent Care, crescentcare.org. Calvin, let's turn the table
We're going to turn the table a little bit.
Talk
back to real estate and
talk
mortgage.
about work a little bit.
So one of the things we talked about at the end of last hour and it was just about some of our reflections on last year. And I'd be curious, as we look at 2016 now, what do you see for the real estate market? What's the feel you talked earlier, Keith, about?
Yeah.
What's the feel on the street right now? So what are you anticipating? Last year, the first quarter was slow, but I'm not seeing that right now.
I don't
Go ahead.
So 2015, first quarter was a little bit slow. 2015 in Minnesota, metro area, we saw about a 4% increase in values overall. That's a correction from what I said in the earlier segment. I didn't have the numbers in front of me. I did pull it up. It's actually 4.3% is what our Minnesota area metro saw in terms of an appreciation. Now, a little bit higher in some areas, a little bit lower in some areas. The national average was 6.3, so 2 points higher nationally than what we saw on an average. What they say is 6.4%, so another 2 points higher than what we saw this year. So what they're saying is that we're going to see a stronger increase in real estate values in our metro area. We talked about the sluggish beginning to 2015. We're not seeing as a sluggish beginning of 2015. We saw a very quick spike in buyer activity last year that's pretty much carried us through, and we haven't seen that kind of downturn. Listing inventory is definitely down, but that buyer activity remains. We saw almost a 40% increase week over week in pending sales at the end of the year. So the last month of the year, or that Christmas week, the 26th, the week of the 26th, we saw over 40% higher increased pending sales. So more people are buying houses in December this last 2015 than in 2014. So leading into 2016 is much busier. Now we're writing purchase agreements over the break. We're talking about coordinating closings between New Year's or Christmas and New Year's, and then anything that had to bump, we're closing them in January. We've got transactions that are being written in December and in January, closing in January, February, March. So the first quarter is very active. Our lead activity, we do this radio show. We love to be able to communicate market information, have great guests on like CrestedCare.org and our vendor partners, Mike Sadness. But we also have folks that call in and want information on how they sell their house, how they buy a house through our radio show and our other channels. That activity is continues to be strong. So we have our lead agents that are calling on those leads, and we're seeing those leads continue to come in. So we expect that the first quarter in 2016 will exceed the first quarter in 2015 in terms of purchase agreements written, closed sale transactions, and just our agent activity of buyers agents out in the car and helping people buy and sell homes.
There's an article that came out this last week, Keith, that said Minnesota is one of a really good place to live because of the appreciation in real estate, anticipating, what are they anticipating, between 8 and a 10% return or appreciation in 2016 on home values. Is that just aggressive talk?
That's aggressive talk.
That's
I
pretty
think,
aggressive.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's aggressive talk. I think we'll be higher than what we were last year.
Last year was
4.3.
4%.
4.3 is what the number was last year for our area, and compared to nationally 6.3. Some things that I have are a point higher than that. They're going to be at 5.4%. So seeing a stronger appreciation next year, but I think 8% would be pretty aggressive. You might see 8%.
Depends on the price range.
Depends on price range, depends on location. So if
Yeah.
you have a very low inventory level, we planned on talking about the community of Eagan today. If you have a community like Eagan, which was ranked 5th in the nation for one of the best places to live, we have the lowest crime rate. I say we because I live in Eagan. We're broadcasting in Eagan right now. We sell real estate across the metro area, but Eagan has one of the lowest crime rates. Only, I think, 24 violent crimes reported in Eagan. Median income is $25,000 higher than what the national median income average is. So people make more money that live in Eagan. There's less crime in Eagan, and employment's at 3.3%. So Eagan is a vibrant community in our metro area. When you have properties that are in the neighborhood of $300,000 to $500,000 in a community like that with very low inventory, I mean, you might be talking 8, 10 houses to choose from and far more buyer activity.
Really?
You're in a great spot as a seller. So if you're
Wow.
living in Eagan, I'm going to look in the camera. If you're
You're
living
looking
in
at-
Eagan
Call today.
and you want to sell a house, call today. And that goes for anywhere in hot communities in the metro area.
Right.
Other hot communities are as follows: Eden Prairie, Plymouth. Woodbury is huge. Woodbury, great new construction to choose from, but very little resale inventory. So if you're not a new construction guy or gal, which some people just frankly aren't, there's not a lot to choose from. Again, Eagan, even Apple Valley, Lakeville, very strong community. Blaine, very strong community. So great communities across the metro area, and then of course Minneapolis and St. Paul. To be in a niche neighborhood or a specific area of town, whether it's by the lakes that you want to be, inventory's tough to come by. Right now we're at about 8,000. I don't even have the numbers in front of me, but we're somewhere around 8,000 homes on the
That's
market.
low.
That's
put
really
that,
low.
Oh gosh, to put that into perspective for folks that are listening and watching, we were at about 40,000 homes on the market at the peak.
Holy crap.
40,000, right?
That's unbelievable.
So we're at under 10. That's a huge decrease in inventory.
Senior, give me your 2016 outlook.
2016.
You have that more of that aged
I'm
look.
looking at an article by the Realtor.com, which is run by the National Association of Realtors. They're talking about 2016 being. They talk about return to normal, and I think that's really what we're seeing. I think Keith is right. That 5%. I mean, if we had 5% growth overall on average year over year, that's really solid growth. That's sustainable growth that is driven not by market fluctuation, but by demand and by growth in the economy and stability of neighborhoods and those types of things. That's what brings you that kind of growth. It's driven bottom up by new construction. Interestingly enough, new construction permits pulled in 2015 was flat.
Really?
Yep, it was flat. There was no
Interesting.
new construction boom. What we're seeing in new construction,
But we did see.
what I'm
the previous years,
observing
right?
in new construction, the growth is in national builders. You know, the small builder that's trying to get started or come back from the downturn. There's no lots.
Yeah, we were talking about this the other day.
Yeah, there's no lots. So they want to get
Where
back
are
into
they
the
gonna
business, and the nationals have bought up all the land,
Mm-hmm.
and so there's little infill areas you can go
Yeah,
here and
they,
there.
they
But
create a little cul-de-sac and put up 4 or 5 homes.
right, but these builders that were very strong in our marketplace, local builders
Mhm.
building semi-custom homes, nice product, that were buying land and developing it, and they were building, you know, $200,000 to $300,000 or homes a year. They're gone.
Take us out.
We'll be right back after these breaks. Stay with us for the final segment. Your real estate shotgun.